G'day there guys, Markee here, and welcome back to another episode of r/Am I the Arsehole? Am I the arsehole for blowing up on my dad's girlfriend for telling me to clean my bedroom? I, 24 female, have been living with my dad and his girlfriend for 2 years now. Overall, we get along pretty well. My mum lives in another town, and she has a mental disease. Long story short, my mom won't get any treatment or therapy, so I just go to see her when I can, and I try to spend time with her. I know she will never get better, and it has been difficult to deal with. I have been going to therapy for almost a year, and I have gotten better at handling it, but it's still hard. I've been dealing with it since I was like 20, but I've only started to speak about it more openly now that I go to therapy. My dad knows this, and so does his girlfriend. I went to visit my mum this weekend. I love her with all my heart, but it always takes a lot of emotional effort to do this. She has some type of schizophrenia. She hears things and she genuinely believes that people are after her. In her mind, there are hackers, murderers, and police trying to capture her. I can't explain in detail, but I hope you get the idea. So spending time with my mum is difficult. It is like a deadly mission every day for her. I have fun and we do things together, but it still requires a lot of patience. I came back today, Sunday evening, and Dad's girlfriend asked if I was okay. I said yes. She immediately said, "And don't leave your room like that when you leave." This isn't the first time that I come back home, and it's the first thing that she tells me, and I just started crying in silence. I wanted to stop, but I couldn't. I cleaned up my room every single day for weeks. It was this one day because all my energy was for me to visit my mum, because as I said, it is emotionally hard. I really don't think it's that important. Not more important than my own mental health at least. And I just barely got home, where I feel like I should be able to relax a little bit. She just didn't give me a break. I didn't even spend 5 minutes home, so when she noticed I was crying, I just said everything. I told her she could have waited for me to settle a bit before telling me, or just trust that I'd do it tomorrow morning, as I was gonna do so. That what I'm doing is emotionally draining, and that it's just one day, that I just got here and should be able to relax at home, that I have to process that my mom will never get better, and while I may look okay on the outside, I am fighting every day on the inside. I told her all of this and more, but I tried to not hurt her and be careful with my words, but it looked like she was feeling bad anyway, even though my point was only that I needed a bit more patience and sensibility. I told her that I don't want her to feel bad, just to consider how hard it can be for me. There was a lot of tension before they went to sleep. I thought about apologizing, but I didn't. I just don't feel sorry. It's how I felt, and I was trying to communicate how she made me feel, but I don't know. Maybe I was too sensible and dramatic, or maybe she didn't understand me. I'm not sure. Am I the asshole? And now in the comments, honestly, there doesn't seem to be a real issue. She did something that hurt you after the emotionally draining day that you had, you told her why you didn't appreciate it, and it seems to have gotten through since she was actually feeling bad after the talk. And OP says, "I guess you're right. I just feel that maybe I went overboard. I don't want to make her feel bad, I just want her to understand me." Feeling bad is a natural consequence of doing something that hurts someone. Trying to avoid other people feeling bad when they are doing things that make you feel bad is prioritizing their feelings over yours and ultimately isn't healthy. A lot of learning comes with a little bit of pain, especially learning how to treat other people. She just learned something about you, and it's natural for her to feel bad because she made you feel bad. Now, if she feels bad for days or obsesses over it, that's not good. Though that's a her problem, not a you problem, but you need to be okay with people feeling a little bad for not understanding or respecting your needs. You weren't rude with her, and you weren't trying to hurt her. If you want to be able to stand up for yourself, you need to be okay with people feeling a little bad. Otherwise, you'll never be able to tell anyone when they've done something wrong. And OP says, "Thank you so much for saying this. Hopefully my point went through and she understands. I hope she doesn't feel too bad about this." No assholes here. She didn't say anything nasty. She asked if you were okay before raising this. You said you were okay. Clearly you were not. She now feels bad about this. I don't necessarily think it's fair to have said that she needs to consider how hard it is for you. She did ask if you were okay. It's not like she launched into a rant at you about your mess. You gotta learn to communicate. It's absolutely okay to say, I just need a half hour or so. You don't have to pretend to be alright. And OP says, I do believe I was okay though. I was even in a good mood because it went well with my mom, but that doesn't mean that I wasn't tired. I needed to rest both physically and mentally, and it's something that I've said multiple times. But maybe I should just tell them I need time, as you said. Thank you for your reply. This is a far more complicated situation than just, who's the asshole? On the one hand, your mental state is fragile after visiting your mother, and on the other hand, she might not have known until this incident just how fragile you might be feeling afterwards, especially since you told her that you were okay just before. A lot of people aren't capable of picking up when okay doesn't really mean okay, so it may have been a shock to her to have you go off like that. Maybe try sitting down and having a less heated conversation about it when your energy levels aren't so low. You both need to be patient with each other. And OP says, I do think she knows because I've been pretty open about it, but maybe she just wanted to comment that, and I took it too personally. I guess we'll see how it goes from here. Maybe we should talk again. And now onto the update. It has almost been a month since I made this post, and I wanted to post an update. So, some of you said that Dad's girlfriend wants me out of the house. That is not true. But it did make me think about why she seemed to think that I didn't help enough, while I thought I did. I noticed that every time I offer to do something, she always says no. If I say, can I help you with that? The answer is no. If I say, I can buy that for you, also no. It doesn't matter what it is, she always refuses. So after a couple of days, I asked her if she was hurt by my words. It was awkward and tense to bring it up, but I knew that it was needed. She said yes, because I was only telling you to do your room, and you made me feel bad. I explained, this time much more calmly, that the problem wasn't saying it, only that I wished she would have waited a few minutes. Then I told her that if she always refuses my help, I'll end up assuming that she just doesn't want me to. Her answer was, that's just how I am. I say no because I feel bad. I would rather you just do it because you want to help. I explained that me asking is because I want to help, but from now on, I won't ask, I'll just do it. I also noticed that most of her free time ends up being for cooking all the meals. I used to do some of the cooking as well, but since she spent some time without a job, she did all the cooking again. So I offered her to do the cooking so she can have a bit more time to herself. After she agreed, I told her that what I ask from her is to take it slow and to give me some space after I come back from visiting my mom. She seemed to be happy with everything I said. She said, I know that I'm not your mom, but I try to treat you like you were my daughter. I told her that I know, that I appreciate it, and that I love her. We hugged. It's been a few weeks since that, and I think that we're at a good point. I've been doing most of the housework, and I think she sees that I really want to help. One day, something bad happened to my mom, and Dad's girlfriend was very understanding and let me slack off a bit when I wasn't well. I think we both understand each other a bit better. I get the feeling that they always say I'm the dramatic one, but I'm the only one that actually starts the difficult conversations. I talked about everything with my therapist, and she says I handled everything very well, and that she's very happy with my progress in general. I didn't have the chance to talk with my dad about this yet, but I wanted to know his take on this, so maybe I'll still end up doing it. I hope I can improve our relationships as we go on. I wanted to thank everyone who took the time to reply. Many of you said kind, caring words, and I really appreciate it. Now in the comments, life pro tip. If you need to have a conversation with your roommate/family member, wait at least 30 minutes after they arrive home. It gives them a moment to decompress and also keeps the home feeling like a welcoming space rather than a destination for arguments. I certainly am not in the mood to debate after coming home from work, and so I try to be considerate to my roommates. I also say welcome home every time one of my roommates comes home. And OP replies, that's exactly what I thought. I don't think it's a me thing. Nobody actually likes coming home and getting a list of things to do right away. I fully agree with you. Right? I have found that if I get bombarded as soon as I come home, that I'll start finding other places to unwind, even if it's just sitting in my car. I'm glad you approached your situation with such maturity, OP. You'll be well prepared if you ever decide to start a family of your own. You are growing to be a wonderful young person with a wide emotional literacy range and empathy for others. You better go far in the world. And OP says, "Oh my god, such nice words to hear. Thank you so much. I hope you are doing well too." Quote, her answer was, "That's just how I am. I say no because I feel bad. I would rather you just do it because you want to help." Honestly, I hate it when people do that. If you want help and I'm offering, just say yes. I get wanting someone to just help, but honestly I feel like that's a recipe to just get in the way sometimes. My aunt has a martyr complex and it is draining. It's impossible to get a straight answer from her. And yeah, I can be a bit peculiar about how I want things done. So me saying no would probably be because it's easier to do it myself than explaining how I want it done. And I imagine other people have their own systems of doing things that they don't like other people interfering with. Our next post is titled, "Am I the asshole for wanting to enforce my boundary?" My husband G, 30 male, and I, 28 female, have been together for about 6 years, married for 2. We have had a really good run so far, but there is one topic that we have always disagreed on: bikes. Very early on in the relationship, he told me that he wants to get a bike license, and I sat him down and told him that that was an absolute no-go for me and always would be, but that we were only together for a month and that I would understand if he decided to end things cleanly there and then. He asked for some time, but in the end, told me that he was okay with giving this up for a chance with me. Fast forward to 2 days ago, he came home from work and he was visibly upset. I tried talking to him, but he was avoidant until he snapped and started venting that all of his friends are planning a massive bike trip for next summer and that they told him that he should get his license and tag along. He also told me that he was always very supportive of me, which is very true, and that this was his only dream and I was taking it away. I did not have the best reaction to this and just replied asking if he was serious. He said yes. I told him that he was a big boy and he can do what he wants, but that if he goes on that trip, he would come back to an empty house. He packed some stuff and is now staying with some friends. Am I the baddie here? I was always very clear about my boundary, gave him the chance early enough to leave if he doesn't like it, and I just don't want it crossed. His friends, who are obviously biased of course, have been putting divorce jokes on their social media since he left after our fight. Edit. I wanted to add a small edit to answer some of the common questions that I have seen in response to the post. Why is this such a hard boundary for me? I have lost multiple, a total of 6 family members and friends between the ages of 6 and 19. Also, he has known this since the first time that we talked about it. Why am I taking out my trauma on him, and why don't I get help for my anxiety? I have been in various forms of therapy since I was 8. This continues to this day, though it's not completely for my anxiety anymore, since it has lessened over the years and there have been other issues that I needed help with. My last therapy was last week, another is scheduled for next Monday. I also never felt like I'm taking my trauma out on anyone. I dealt with my feelings in therapy, but decided that I would never put myself into a position where a death due to a bike accident was likely. Yes, I know that anyone can die at any point in time for any reason, and when we first talked about it, he asked me if there was any form of extreme sport that I would be okay with. We have been diving together, he is regularly bouldering, and I got him skydiving lessons for his birthday last year. But bikes are a no-go and they always will be. Is there any other option in this situation? I asked him if he were okay with going along on another vehicle. He scoffed and told me that it's not the same. And why am I giving him an ultimatum? This is where I royally effed up, and I admit and accept it. In the moment when I said it, I didn't see it as a threat or an ultimatum, but rather a fact that I was stating. It was not to scare or manipulate him, it's the truth. But I understand that it comes across horribly, and I'm going to apologize for it when I can. And now onto the update. So it has been about a month since my first post, and though the final result was no assholes here, the comments were extremely varied and I read through almost all of them. Special shout out here to all of the people who could write why they thought I was the asshole without using strings of insults. On to the update. The day after, I told G that I would like to sit down with him and talk about things properly. He said that he would like that too and came home. I apologized for how I said what I said, while also standing firm that while my delivery left things to be desired, to put it mildly, the message itself still stands. He said that he understood, and he apologized for snapping at me like he did. After a long talk, this is how I could summarize what happened. His friends at work invited him on the trip. He said no and explained why. He then started getting teased by them, saying that he was being whipped and what it felt like when the wife wears the pants. This went on for a couple of weeks, after which he decided he would tell them that he would go with them because he put me in my place. But the teasing didn't stop, and now he also felt guilty, causing him to be as angry as he was that night. After the talk, we weren't really sure how to proceed, so we thought the best would be if we went to a professional together to figure things out. Counseling was a blessing, helping us articulate some thoughts that we both had that we couldn't really say out loud before. There was a lot of emotion and a lot of crying, but it was so helpful for the both of us to really understand what the other is going through. He also did some individual sessions, and he decided to distance himself from his friends indefinitely. We also realized that where we live is extremely motorcycle-centric, and that if we decided to stay together, then we should probably move away. Last week, he sat me down and he told me that he has been looking for work and got a really good offer from a company almost 2,000 miles away from where we live. He asked me if he could put in his notice and if we could start looking for a house somewhere in that area. I work from home, so moving is not really an issue for me, and we managed to find a nice-looking place pretty close to his work. Nothing is set in stone yet, but things are looking really good. TLDR, the problem turned out to be a friend problem and not a relationship problem. Friends are gone, counseling is underway, and things are looking good. And now in the comments, it sounds like you worked on your communication and counseling helped. I'm glad you found a solution, and I hope things continue to improve. Great work. Yeah, something I need to remind myself of sometimes is that it's us versus the problem, not us versus each other. The real assholes were the toxic, misogynistic friends we made along the way. Right? I read "put her in her place" and legit gagged. I'm glad he realized how gross that move was and decided to fix things. My friend told me that her husband thinks my husband needs to keep me on a tighter leash. My husband's response is that I am not a dog. I once had a friend admit that there had been exactly one point in her marriage when she had considered a divorce. After talking about things with her spouse, she realized she hated her life, not her husband. She was just so unhappy about everything else that he had gotten lumped in her confused desire for change. She found a new job, they moved multiple states away, and when I met them, they were #couple goals. It's so easy to misplace anger and discontent. I'm glad you and your husband were able to pinpoint the real problem, and I hope that when you get settled into your new home, you'll be the couple that others look up to. And I too hope that everything goes well for OP. As always guys, that is where we're going to finish this episode today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, smack the like button. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing if you love these posts, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.